So speaking of the growing bureaucracy in the United States, this is an amazing story. Bernie Sanders, the socialist Vermont loonbag, he has now announced his new plan. His new plan is to give every American a job. Apparently, after reading some Marx, smoking some dope, eating a pudding cup while watching the movie Dave, he decided that we would now give every American a job. So what is his plan? I love this. The Washington Post reports, quote, Senator Bernie Sanders will announce a plan for the federal government to guarantee a job paying $15 an hour and health care benefits to every American worker who wants or needs one, embracing the kind of large-scale government works project that Democrats have shied away from in recent decades. So it's easy, right? We just give everybody a job. You know, this isn't going to change anything. You know, adding a massive layer of government bureaucracy to just hand people jobs to make work projects, you know, dig a hole, fill the hole back in, like FDR, it won't do any damage. Sure, exactly that kind of policy led to a lengthening of the Great Depression by 7 years, according to economists from UCLA. But if we do it now, it won't make any difference. I mean, come on. Well, we'll just tell people, we'll go out on the street, and if you want a job, come in here, we'll pay you $15 an hour for doing something completely useless, and it'll just be awesome. It'll just be terrific. And the best part of the Washington Post report, I do love this line, quote, a representative from Sanders' office said they had not yet done a cost estimate for the plan or decided how it would be funded, saying they were still crafting the proposal. Of course, they hadn't done a cost estimate for the plan. Because if you are hiring tens of millions of American workers, it's going to cost a fortune, and you don't have the money for that. Yeah, I love that they haven't decided how it would be funded. They know how it's going to be funded. It's going to be funded by taxing the crap out of people who actually earn in the private sector so that we can pay for an ever-growing, ever-present public sector. If full employment were this easy, the Soviet Union would have been a paradise. Okay, the Washington Post, I love this. They shill for the plan, even though Bernie Sanders says he has no way to pay for it and he has no idea how much money it's going to cost, but it's a great plan. Let me tell you, the best plans, all of the best plans are for fairness. Fairness, guaranteed by an amount of money I will not tell you about, paid for by people who might be you, but I will pretend not, for purposes of this conversation so we can pretend that I am full of charity and largesse. So here's how the Washington Post pushes this stupid plan. Quote, job guarantee advocates say their plan would drive up wages by significantly increasing competition for workers, ensuring that corporations have to offer more generous salaries and benefits if they want to keep their employees from working for the government. So the logic here, apparently, is that the government will offer you a job that you get paid more than you would in the private sector, so the private sector has to pay you more to compete. That will drive up wages. It will also create massive unemployment. Because what happens when the businesses can't afford to compete? Either they go out of business, or they have to fire their workers. You stupid idiots. That's exactly what happened during the Great Depression. Quote, this is from that UCLA study. In the 3 years following the implementation of FDR's policies, wages in 11 key industries averaged 25% higher than they otherwise would have done, the economists calculate. Wouldn't that be great, according to Bernie Sanders? But unemployment was also 25% higher than it should have been, given gains in productivity. Meanwhile, prices across 19 industries averaged 23% above what they should have been, given the state of the economy. Because when you drive up the cost of labor, you also drive up the cost of the product. With goods and services that much harder for consumers to afford, demand stalled, and the gross national product floundered at 27% below where it otherwise might have been. So apparently Bernie Sanders' idea is let's copy that. That was awesome. Also, the Washington Post says that Bernie Sanders' plan will reduce racial inequality because black workers face unemployment at about twice the rates of white workers, as well as gender inequality because many iterations of the plan call for the expansion of federal child care work. So again, this is the soft bigotry of low expectations. If you think that black workers can't compete with white workers because of their color, or women can't compete with men because of their femalehood, this is stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. It's the soft bigotry of low expectations, and it's a welfare program for particular segments of the population that are politically powerful. But again, this is all about growing the government at the expense of the private citizen, because remember, the private citizen is going to have to pay for all of this. Bernie Sanders doesn't want to mention that part because it's awkward. Right? If they actually mention that you have to pay for all of this, then people might push back on the idea that everything in the world is free. Now, Cory Booker and Kirsten Gillibrand have both embraced Bernie Sanders' plan because Bernie Sanders now runs the Democratic Party. Whatever you think of the chaos inside the Republican Party at any given point, at least they're not proposing full employment plans from the movie Dave. At least they're not thinking of Bernie Sanders as a thought leader. My God, that dude, I wonder if he has two brain cells to rub together. And now, meanwhile,